10 signs you're just an avoidance substitute. Let's get something out of the way right now. Avoidants rarely walk into a relationship fully present, fully available, and fully ready to invest in the person in front of them. Many times they are still attached to a ghost from their past, a memory, a feeling, a version of someone they idealized long ago. And the painful truth is that some people unknowingly walk into the role of a substitute, someone who fills the emotional gap left behind by a relationship the avoidant never truly processed or healed from. In this video, we're diving deep into the psychological signs that reveal you're not the person they're truly connected to. You're simply the placeholder their avoidant attachment uses to avoid vulnerability and loneliness. And trust me, these signs will change how you see everything. The first sign is emotional inconsistency that makes no logical sense. They seem warm, present, and attentive one moment, and cold, distant, and unreachable the next. But the reason this inconsistency hits you so deeply is because their emotional rhythm isn't actually about you. It's about the emotional echoes of their past. Avoidants often compare every new partner to someone in their history, the person who made the biggest emotional impact on them, even if the relationship was dysfunctional. So when they pull away suddenly, it's not because of something you did, it's because something reminded them of the emotional intimacy they're terrified of, or the person they still haven't fully detached from. If their distance feels unpredictable, it's often because their heart is still tied to a story you aren't part of. The second sign is that their compliments and affection feel strangely generalized. They don't say things that are specifically about you, your mind, your personality, your quirks, your values. Instead, they say things like, "You're nice," "You're cool," or "I appreciate you." These vague affirmations aren't real emotional engagement. They're placeholders, words they've used before, emotions they've expressed before, patterns they're repeating because they know they're supposed to. When someone sees you, truly sees you, their affection is detailed, intentional, personal. But when you're a substitute, they don't examine you deeply enough to form those meaningful connections. They're with you physically, but emotionally, they're somewhere else. The third sign is that they avoid talking about their past in detail. Not because their past was painful, but because the person in their past still holds emotional weight. Avoidants have a tendency to idealize past partners, especially the ones they couldn't fully open up to. That partner becomes the one that got away, the one they compare everyone else to. So instead of processing that attachment, they simply avoid discussing it, hoping it stays buried. When someone won't talk about their past but still acts emotionally guarded, there's a high chance you're competing with a memory they're pretending no longer affects them. And if every emotional conversation leads to discomfort or withdrawal, it's often because they don't want to admit that you're not the person they're truly attached to. The fourth sign is that your presence in their life feels temporary. Even if you've been around for months, there's a silent heaviness in the air, a sense that they haven't rooted themselves in the relationship. They don't make future plans. They don't dream with you. They don't talk about us in a real or concrete way. This is because avoidance keeps substitutes at arm's length. They want the closeness, the comfort, the connection, but only if it doesn't require a long-term commitment. If you feel like they're keeping emotional escape routes open, it's because they are. Avoidants don't fully step into relationships they don't emotionally choose, and substitutes are never emotionally chosen. They are emotionally convenient. The fifth sign is subtle but powerful. You feel emotionally lonely next to them, not just lonely because they're distant, but lonely because you can sense they are emotionally attached to something or someone else. Humans are intuitive creatures. You can feel when you're the priority. You can also feel when you're the backup plan. If you constantly feel like you're waiting for them to show up differently or hoping they'll suddenly choose you, then deep down, you know you are filling a space, not sharing a life. Avoidants create this emotional limbo because they want connection without surrendering their vulnerability. And unfortunately, substitutes get stuck in cycles of waiting, hoping, and being quietly disappointed. The sixth sign is that they don't mirror your emotional investment. When you share deeply, they respond shallowly. When you express your hopes or fears, they nod politely. When you show love, they accept it, but rarely return it with the same intensity. This imbalance is not because they don't feel anything. It's because they don't want to deepen the emotional bond. They keep things surface level to prevent you from becoming irreplaceable. Avoidants don't put effort into people they see as temporary. So if your emotional energy feels one-sided, it's a sign that they're only giving you enough to keep you around, but not enough to let you in. The seventh sign is that they still check up on or monitor things related to their past. Maybe they keep old photos. Maybe they revisit old conversations. Maybe they just happen to know what their ex is posting or doing. Avoidants rarely detach fully from the person who created their deepest attachment wound. Instead, they detach from the person in front of them. If you notice they have emotional pockets in their life that they don't let you touch, it's usually because those pockets are holding on to someone else's energy. And when a person hasn't fully closed a chapter, they can't open a new one with you. The eighth sign is emotional recycling. You notice they repeat old behaviors, old jokes, old routines that don't feel like they belong to the relationship you have with them. It feels rehearsed, patterned, familiar, but not between you and them. That's because avoidants often replicate the dynamics of their last attachment, consciously or unconsciously. You're stepping into a script that wasn't written for you. And when you're a substitute, nothing feels uniquely tailored to the connection you're building. It feels like deja vu, like you're living in the shadow of someone you've never met. The ninth sign is that they disappear whenever you need emotional closeness. Not everyday closeness, but the moments when intimacy matters, when you seek reassurance, when you open up, when you are vulnerable. Avoidance will withdraw instantly, not necessarily because you did something wrong, but because emotional closeness threatens the emotional distance they've carefully constructed. Substitutes are allowed access only to the parts of the avoidant that feel safe, not the parts that feel intimate. The moment you need something deeper, they shut the door. The 10th sign is the hardest one to accept. If you stopped giving, the relationship would collapse. Avoidants rarely invest in substitutes. They let you put in all the effort, all the consistency, all the emotional labor. They enjoy the benefits of connection without participating in its creation. And if you pulled back, things wouldn't become better, they would end. Because they never built anything with you in the first place. You were the bridge they walked across, not the home they wanted to build. So what do you do if, while watching this, you realize you might be an avoidant substitute? The answer is simple but not easy. You step into your power. You stop being emotionally available to someone who is emotionally unavailable to you. You stop trying to prove your worth to someone who only sees you as convenient. You stop waiting for someone to choose you when their heart is somewhere else. And most importantly, you stop accepting the role of a placeholder when you deserve to be someone's priority. Here's the truth that most people never hear. Avoidants only form real, lasting connections when they lose the safety of substitutes. When you walk away, you force them to confront their attachment patterns. You create emotional contrast. You show them the difference between someone who simply fills a space and someone who actually brings meaning. And whether they change or not is their journey, not your responsibility, not your burden, not your battle.